Hello everyone, my name is Ambassador Arikana Chihombori. I am your former African Union Ambassador to the United States. I'm here to wish you a very happy new year and looking forward to not only a prosperous and peaceful new year, but also a prosperous and peaceful Africa. 2019 was an amazing year. It was a year that we saw African diaspora from around the globe come together around a common issue. This issue had to do with the termination of my contract by Our Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat of the African Union. In a very resounding way, you send a message of your wishes and your desired, and you came together in a way that no one had ever seen. You see, the rule of divide and conquer has kept us from coming together and even standing our ground and defending our turf. 2019 showed us that this game is over, that the children of Africa are now united, that the children of Africa have woken up, and that the children of Africa understand that within our unity is where we can find our strength. In a resounding way, you let the world know that the children of Africa are coming together and that we are answering the call from our African heads of states to speak with one voice. 2019 was also a very crucial year. It was a year that we saw our African heads of states formally launch the African Continental Free Trade Area. For those of you who are not familiar with the African Continental Free Trade Area, it is a decision that was reached by all the African heads of states in March of 2018. This decision states that Africa, come July of next year, 2020, is going to enter the world market as one continent, one Africa, speaking with one voice. You see, the borders that were imposed upon us by the Berlin Conference, they're going to be melting away. We're in the process of digging the grave of the Berlin Conference. Along with the Berlin Conference, come July of 2020, we're going to be burying not only the Berlin Conference, but also her children, who are the legacy of colonization, the legacy of slavery, and the rule of divide and conquer. All must be buried come July of 2020. In order for us to build the Africa that we want, we must make sure that all three are buried, and in addition, we must have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror to undo the shackles of the mind. Once the shackles of the mind are gone, the children of Africa are ready to move in and take our Africa, our beloved continent, to her rightful place on the world stage. The African Continental Free Trade Area is going to be creating a workforce of 1.27 billion people, a combined GDP of $3 trillion, and a work environment, a business environment that you can establish yourself in one country and spread like wildfire throughout the continent. This is precisely what the business community on the continent and around the globe have been looking for. I'm calling this the unfinished business of the OAU. The unfinished business of our Pan-African fathers is now going to be completed come July of 2020. What this means is, come July 2020, the boundaries are going to melt away, which means others who have the finances, who have the capacity, such as the Chinese, such as the Europeans, they are ready to move into an Africa that is now going to be easy to do business. What that means to you and I, my fellow African diaspora, is that when they do move in, this time is for a clean sweep. Unless, of course, we, the owners of the land, we, the owners of the wealth of Africa, choose to defend our turf. And how do we defend our turf? You have to understand that singularly, while we may have been given our political independence in Africa, we were never given our economic liberation. It is singularly the lack of our economic liberation that is keeping us as the most disrespected race on earth. that is keeping us from being in a position to defend ourselves against our former colonizers who continue to exploit us to this day, who continue to colonize us to this day. You see, when you're poor, you have a voice, but your voice is useless. Nobody's going to respect your voice. Nobody's going to hear your voice. It's all about the economy, my fellow African diaspora. And guess what? We, the African diaspora, are the only ingredient missing in order for Africa to go to her rightful place on the world stage. We need the capacity that is in the diaspora, the capacity that has been taken out of Africa through the brain drain. One. Secondly, we need the finances. You see, to whom much is given, much is expected. We have a responsibility to pull our funds together, united, just like the Chinese diaspora did, just like what the Indian diaspora have done and continue to do, just like what the Irish diaspora have done and continue to do. We must also do the same. Let's not ask what Africa has given us. Let's ask what we have done for our continent. We have a responsibility, and if we do not come together for our sake, let's come together for the sake of our children, grandchildren, and generations to come. The African Continental Free Trade Area is giving us an amazing opportunity